So this is kind of what I've come up with now. As those of you who are in New Zealand and those of you who know Kiwis well know that we're very good at putting A's on the end of things. So I came up with the 6A way to recover A. And we have to hope that I'm a better pain clinician than I am jingle writer. But I want to just go through this very briefly with you to help understand what this process is all about. Now, many people might say, well, I don't need to be an apprentice about my pain or about pain. I live with it. I know what pain is. But remember, this is a new way of thinking about pain. This is a different way. So the apprenticeship is really about education. It's about learning to understand the neurophysiology of the pain, what's actually happening in my mind and body. There is good science and evidence being produced from around the world, and particularly the work of Lorimer Moseley and David Butler in South Australia, which shows quite clearly that if you explain the physiology of pain to people, they can understand it. And we're all well aware of the fact that if we understand something, somehow it loses some of its threat value. And we can start to plan and make a different approach to dealing with it. The application of this education is the second day. And this application is very simple. It's learning how to relax. We all tend to do things to relax. We watch TV, we go to the movies, we go for a walk, we eat, we drink, we take drugs, we do all sorts of things. Some people go shopping. But these are all doing things rather than actually letting the body and system relax. There's a famous cardiologist in Harvard University, Professor Herbert Benson, and he recognized that many of his patients with cardiovascular disease were highly stressed. He knew, and the stress definition was well established by then, but Benson went about looking for what the opposite of the stress response might be, which he termed the relaxation response. And he used some simple exercises in order to try and encourage his patients to learn how to relax, to deliberately and consciously make their system relax. And this takes a little bit of training, but it's very important. And it's very important because until we can start to train this faculty of attention, the third A on the list, we need to be able to relax. It's very hard to train your attention if you're tense. I often liken this to playing golf. People will describe that they play golf to relax. But the reality is we need to be relaxed in order to be able to play golf. So the Herbert Benson relaxation response exercise is something that I routinely teach my patients with chronic pain when they come to see me here in the practice. This faculty of attention is clearly very important. The faculty of attention, being able to choose where we place our attention, is not well understood. We know that our attention wanders up to 50% of the time. And there was an interesting study done at Harvard University using mobile phones. And what they did was they got a whole group of people together who prepared to be in the study. And they texted them 3 questions. The first question was, what are you doing right now? So people wrote in their answer. The next question was, are you focused, is your attention focused on what you're doing, or is your mind wandering? So again, people wrote in that they were focused on what they were doing or that their attention was wandering. And the third question was, how would you rate your happiness in this moment? We got 2 very interesting pieces of information from this study. The first was that the mind wanders about 50% of the time. We might not want it to, but that's what it does. And the people who reported that their attention was wandering from the task at hand self-rated their happiness much lower than the people who were able to say that they were focused on, their attention was focused on what they were doing. This faculty of attention is the thing that we use to distribute our awareness of what's going on. Left to its own devices, the mind will wander. Our awareness will wander away from what's actually going on, and we'll get caught up in a thought or an emotion of a time gone by or a pain memory, whatever it might be. So this ability to train our attention and bring our awareness to where we want it, very important in the recovery from chronic pain. The next A is acceptance. Now I have to say from the get-go, I understand that this is a really difficult word for lots of people who are struggling with long-term and persistent pain. Acceptance doesn't mean being helpless. Acceptance doesn't mean being hopeless and being passive and rolling over and going, well, this is it, this is all I can expect. Acceptance is this understanding that this is actually what's going on. This is my experience right here and right now. But then staying open to the possibility that that experience can change. And it will change given the right circumstances. And this then brings us to the final thing that Brain Man also talked about, which is action, which is having a plan, taking control and taking charge. And this we can largely do for ourselves with the right information.